How do you keep in touch with your friends?
Majority of the time would be via phone calls and emails. I don't personally use social media that much. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, but I don't use them for sort of day-to-day contact with friends.
I use Facebook a lot and I text them and call them.
Well, I use the telephone and I phone them occasionally, and I can meet them face to face or use email or text, SMS.
Over here in the UK, I keep in touch with friends using WhatsApp, text message, email, phone calls. Snapchat is quite popular these days as well, but it's not. You don't get a great sense of messaging through it. But, so probably WhatsApp is the most common form, I think.
I like to text message my friends. I chat them over Facebook a lot. But mostly I talk to my friends by hanging out with them around here in park or on campus. I go to school here, so.
Do you think that Facebook and LinkedIn friends are real friends?
Some of the people are, majority probably not. They're probably acquaintances that you've met perhaps once or twice, or friends of friends rather than really close friends. But obviously your close friends are also on there as well. So yeah, I'd say some are, but a lot probably aren't really good friends. Yeah.
Yes, because I normally add just people who I've met personally, so I feel like I know them.
No, I don't do Facebook, and I use LinkedIn only for work, and those people are working colleagues, so I wouldn't call them my friends.
I'm not on LinkedIn. It's probably something I've been thinking about doing, but I'm not currently on it. Facebook, when I first started using it, probably 5-10 years ago, much more so. Now I wouldn't be a way that I would keep in touch with my closest and dearest friends, but it's a good way to keep contact lists, I think.
It depends on who you find on Facebook or LinkedIn. Not so much on LinkedIn as much on Facebook for me, because when I find Facebook friends, they're usually people I've met in real life. So if you friend people, I guess, on Facebook that you haven't met in real life, I don't think they're your friends.
Have you ever had a really bad day at work, college, or when traveling?
Yes, I would say my worst day at work was when one of my bosses quit that day and then just decided to leave work. Yeah, so we kind of had to do everything ourselves. That was a bad day at work.
Yeah, I've had a few, probably in all situations, but probably one of the worst was at my first year of university, on my first set of exams. And my first exam at university went particularly badly, and I got really sort of worried and upset about it. And it was sort of resolved by sort of speaking to my parents and just sort of calm me down, and the rest of it went fine. And that was it was okay in the end, but that particular moment and that particular day was pretty bad.
Well, a bad day at university for me, this is back in New Zealand, was when I broke my ankle. And around university campus, that was a bit of a nightmare. It was quite a slippery day, I remember, and I fell over on my crutches and was trying to study for exams at the same time. I was quite grumpy that day.
Yes, a particular example I can give you was when I had a sprained ankle and I was in plaster and on crutches, and I had to visit a client, which involved going up in the lift. I think it was 4 or 5 floors. And in the course of the meeting, the fire alarm went, and it wasn't a practice; it was a real live fire, and I could see the flames. Consequently, I had to hop down 5 flights of stairs with my crutches.
I can tell you one day, and here we are in the beautiful sunshine. But in the winter, I was driving to work, and it was snowing. And my car got a puncture. I went to look for a garage, and my car got stuck in the snow as I came off the main road, and I had to walk 2 miles through the snow in my suit to find a train to get to a train station. Not a good day getting to work.
Do you cope well under pressure?
I think so. Everybody says that I cope very well under pressure, but sometimes I feel very stressed when there's a lot of pressure. However, I am very good at managing a lot of work at the same time.
I think I cope very well under pressure. I feel that sometimes I get more work done if I'm under pressure. I try to get things done by managing my time, and I try not to overwhelm myself.
I tend to cope well enough under pressure, especially if I've had a chance to prepare a little bit beforehand.
Yes, I do cope well under pressure. In my work, which is as a head teacher, I have to deal with hundreds of different things each day. So I get pressure from parents, from staff, from children, and have to swap from one thing to another, doing all sorts of different tasks.
Yes, I think I do cope well under pressure as long as I have some time alone to make lists and think to myself.
What skills do you need to be successful in your ideal job?
My ideal job is to be a chef, so the skills for that job I think are to be able to work very, very long hours, to be very good at cooking, obviously, and to be able to cope very well under pressure.
I think positive energy for me, it's really important to be successful in my ideal job. So as long as you are confident and you have an ambition to reach your goal and just believe in yourself, I think you can achieve anything.
My ideal job is a university professor, and the skills I need to be successful are long-term planning, on focusing on small goals within larger projects.
I actually do my ideal job, which is a head teacher in a primary school, which is for children from 4 to 11 years of age. And I need a wide range of skills. That's what attracted me to the job in the first place. People skills in particular. You have to get on with a whole range of people from the age of 4 and probably even younger than that, toddlers, all the way through to grandparents.
My ideal job is computer science, and to be successful I'd need attention to detail and an ability to work well under pressure and be creative.
What are the benefits of visiting the countryside?
While I'm in the country, I spend a lot of time in the countryside. It's peaceful, it's quiet, and it helps to keep me calm.
The benefits of visiting the countryside are to go out into the fresh air, to take nice walks, to see the rivers, and to enjoy the sun.
The greatest benefit of visiting the countryside is enjoying the outdoors and nature, in particular taking long walks in the countryside.
I think visiting the countryside is good to escape city life a little bit. I think sometimes being in the city can be a bit too much pressure. So being in the countryside, it's good to breathe and just get a little bit of space.
I think there are many benefits from visiting the countryside. I think the main thing is the relaxation and the fresh air. Actually being able to run and cycle and walk in a green environment where the air is good, and you see lots of different things.
What advertisement has made a big impact on you?
It's going to be really sad, but the biggest advertisement impact on me was the Taco Bell breakfast. Thank you. I don't know why, but it's just incredible. I've been dying to try it.
An advert that's made a big impact on me was for a charity, and it was a short advert looking at children who basically are carers for their parents, and I just found it incredibly moving and very, very sad, and the first thing I did was to pick up the phone and donate money to them.
The advert for a brand of bread called Hovis had a great impact because it gave a very romantic view of life in Britain in the past.
Okay, I think it's probably a Nissan Juke advert, a car advert, where the car comes out of the sky and falls to the ground, and it starts off with just a chassis and then adds parts of the car until I think it even goes underwater at the end to complete the car. And it's a attracts my sort of imagination, because I can see all the components of the car being added together and then creating a final product.
I think that an ad that has made a big impact on me is the coffee ads with George Clooney. They're funny because in each ad there's a different story, and in each story there's always a beautiful woman who prefers to drink the coffee than speak to George Clooney. The ad also makes me want to go and drink the same coffee too.
Do you remember any ads, but not what they're for?
Yes, I definitely remember some ad campaigns, but not what they're for, because sometimes you see a commercial and you're not at all sure what it was for by the end.
Yeah, there are some adverts that you watch and you don't know what they're for, but I think nowadays we see adverts so often, and we get the same adverts again and again and again, that you soon do find out what they're for. So not really, no.
Supermarket adverts during Christmas. They all look the same to me.
I think the ads that I remember but don't know what they're for are particularly involving famous people. Famous people like footballers, and they're doing all sorts of skills and things like this, and then at the end you do wonder what was that about. And it might have been a piece of clothing or a drink, but you just focus on the famous people rather than thinking about the product.
That's quite a difficult question to answer, but I think for me, the ads that are difficult to remember or understand are the ones for perfume.
What's your favourite kind of film?
I quite like comedies and actions because I like to see things happening and I just like to have a laugh.
I guess I like science fiction films. I like all films, but science fiction films probably prefer, and I like them because it's just a way to relax.
I like movies that bring a new idea to me or make me think about something that I haven't thought about before.
I think my favorite type of film would be just brain-dead action movies, where you can just sit back and relax and just watch it and don't have to think too much about it.
I wouldn't say I've got a particular genre of film I like more than others, but I do really like action films and also sort of historical and documentary style films.
What's your favourite movie of all time?
I like Pulp Fiction a lot. I like the monologues in that by Samuel L. Jackson. I think they're really interesting.
I think one of my favourites has to be The Shawshank Redemption, which I've seen a number of times. I just think it's got a great story, and there's Morgan Freeman, great actor, and yeah, just a great film.
My favorite movie is Fight Club. I really like it because in addition to being entertaining, it also has a really cool twist at the end.
My favorite movie of all time would definitely be Dumb and Dumber. I've watched it I think 200 times. It's just funny throughout the whole film, and I just love these two characters. They're beautiful.
Yeah, Heat's my favourite film of all time, with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. It's got a great cast and it's full of action and quite a good story with a few twists.
Do you think the climate has been changing over the last 10 years?
I think that the weather is definitely getting more extreme. The hot is getting hotter and the cold is getting colder.
I think it has. Certainly it seems to be more extreme events, as in terms of hurricanes, typhoons, you seem to be getting worse and worse. And also we've seen a lot of data. I did a geography degree, so I did a lot of studying into the climate change, and there's lots of data. Well, all the data is virtually suggesting that climate is changing and things are warming all around the planet. So we're seeing a lot of the ice caps in the Arctic and the Antarctic starting to melt at a much higher rate than previously. So I think there's definitely, I'd say that the climate is definitely changing.
Yes, it has been changing, but I think it will always change. But I do think that humans have made it worse in the last 10 years.
Yes, I think the answer to that is yes, and it appears to have got wetter and probably slightly warmer.
Yes, I do. Probably the biggest impact on us, I think the seasons are changing. Growing up at least 20 years ago, I remember summers being at least starting a couple of months earlier than they do now. I think you get more random weather. Things don't seem to be as patterned.
Can you give an example of what you consider extreme weather?
Anything that's uncommon or causes a really big disruption to the city or community that it occurs in.
I think that's a difficult question because it varies around the planet. So in London, extreme weather would be probably 60-70 miles an hour winds. But I'm from South Wales, and there you regularly get winds of that nature. So I think extreme weather is anything that I suppose causes damage, I would say, to buildings or the environment.
I think extreme weather is something like flooding, especially in the UK, where we've had one of the wettest winters for over 300 years, I think.
Well, I guess the obvious example to me is a typhoon or a hurricane.
I guess it would be, in my mind, extreme temperature or extreme changes in weather. From New Zealand, we're very used to having 4 seasons in one day, and I think we're getting that a lot more over here now. And also, the summers are becoming a lot hotter, which is a nice thing, but you also get some very extreme winters over here, and then you get ones that are not, like the winter we've just had. So that in itself is quite extreme and unpredictable.
Would you ever move abroad for a job?
I would move abroad for a job. I think it's a great thing to do.
Yes, I would absolutely move abroad for a job.
No, I wouldn't now. I'm too old and I wouldn't want to leave my family.
I would consider moving abroad for a job because I think it would be an exciting opportunity.
I think I would move abroad for a job because it does give you a wider range of opportunities to learn about the culture and the systems within another country.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of living and working abroad?
I think handling money is a disadvantage. It's quite complicated when you're working with different money. The advantage is that you learn a language much quicker when you're living in that country.
I think the advantages of working abroad are getting to see how other people live their lives and getting to learn about that and share how you live your life. And the disadvantages are having to learn a new language that you might not speak.
I think the advantages are money, availability of jobs, and perhaps a better climate. And the disadvantages are moving away from family and friends.
The advantages of living and working abroad would be to be a part of a new culture, to get out of your daily routine, to learn more about the world around you. Some disadvantages would be homesickness, missing your family, missing the tradition of your routine, because sometimes the routine is comfortable.
I think the advantages is that you do learn about another culture, which broadens your horizon of the world, of being a global citizen, and can be financial as well, because in some countries, doing the same job, you can earn a lot more money than perhaps in our own country. The big disadvantage for me would be probably communication. If I moved to a country which didn't speak the English language, because it's not one of my strengths.
What qualities make a person attractive?
It's more about their character, I think. I think, if someone is kind, honest, easygoing, and, easy to get on with, then, that person to me is an attractive person, More than anything else, I think it's their character.
I think that the most important quality is intelligence, and that's what really makes people attractive.
Qualities that make a person attractive are a good sense of humor, a willingness to accept a wide variety of different peoples, their skill sets, their pros and cons, and willing to appreciate many different attributes of a person.
What qualities make a person attractive? I think like generosity. They're really generous and giving their love and their care, not just like romantically, but they actually want to see another human being grow and prosper. And humor. Yeah, humor. Like not taking themselves too seriously and having a good sense of humor.
I think when you first meet somebody, it's physical appearance is the first thing you see, so that's important, and then beyond that point it's sort of personality traits such as friendliness, openness, commitment, and loyalty and respect.
Which 3 factors do you think are important to have a good quality of life?
To have a good quality of life, you need to have happiness first. I think you need to have a purpose in life. So happiness, purpose, and you need to have fun to enjoy life. So those are the 3 factors.
One factor is definitely a good community, friends and family who can support you. The second factor is having a passion you can really enjoy. It might be a hobby, it might be a job. And then the third factor I would say is good health.
The factors I think are important for a good quality of life are good healthcare and good health generally, a supportive network of family and friends, and doing something you enjoy and something you love every day.
Having a good family group to bring you up and support you, having a good job opportunity so that you've got plenty of areas that you can go into, and a good education so that you know which areas you can go into for a job.
I think for me personally, the 3 most important things for quality of life would be happiness, health and support, be it friends or family, but having a good community of people around you.
Do you enjoy watching sports? If so, which sports?
Yeah, I enjoy watching sports a lot. Not that I do it, but I kind of like to watch football matches live on stadiums. I'm not a big fan of television sports. I like to go see the action, but football is my favorite sport, I would say.
I enjoy watching football and snooker. I especially enjoy watching football when the World Cup is on or the Euro Cup.
I do like watching sports. I like cycling and I like motor racing.
I prefer playing sport rather than watching sport. I think that's because I'm quite a competitive person, so I prefer actually doing things.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching sport. I spend a lot of my time watching sport, so and it varies again. I'm into more sports, so the sort of traditional British sports, sort of cricket, rugby and football, and then quite into cycling and some individual sports such as running and cycling.
Do you prefer to play a team sport or a solo sport?
I prefer to play a team sport because you are surrounded by other people doing the same thing as you, and you can get a team spirit going, and you can get a good vibe in a team, which you cannot do in a solo sport.
I prefer to play a team sport because it's social and interactive, but I usually do sport on my own, such as Pilates or yoga.
I do both. I mean, I cycle as part of the team, and I also cycle solo during the weekends. I prefer cycling solo when I like to sort of spend some time with myself to think and to reflect, and I do team sports just to encourage myself to be better.
I prefer playing a team sport. You feel more involved with people that way.
I was actually changed as I've got older. So when I was younger, I played virtually all team sports. So I played in school and university. I used to play cricket and rugby. But since I've moved up to London, I've started doing more individual sports such as running and cycling.
Do you enjoy reading crime fiction or watching thrillers?
I do enjoy reading crime fiction and watching thrillers, yes.
Yeah, I do really enjoy crime fiction. I both read crime fiction and watch a lot on television. things that are set in particularly sort of English areas.
I enjoy watching thrillers.
Yes, I enjoy reading crime fiction.
I enjoy watching thrillers. I don't read much crime fiction. They're really exhilarating and they make you wonder what's going to happen.
Do you have a favourite?
So my favorite thriller book is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. It's very terrifying. My favorite thriller film would probably be The Shining with Jack Nicholson. Gotta go classic.
Yes, Morse is my favourite because it's set in Oxford, and the cast was very good, the actors involved.
I really enjoyed a movie called Looper. It starred Bruce Willis, and I enjoyed it because it had a really clever plot.
Yes, I like Sherlock Holmes because it paints a very good picture of the Victorian age 100 years ago.
I quite like the Hannibal Lecter series because they really make you think about the psychological basis of what he's going through.